There's nothing worse than entering into a relationship and soon after a while noticing that you are with a severely codependent in a bad way, the very needy person, or maybe even worse, becoming the needy person and realizing that like I can't live without you and all that, and seeing the relationship deteriorate. It's an awful experience, which I think many of us experience, that I definitely have. And in this video, I want to talk about what it does to a relationship and how you individually can avoid that and see the signs for that and all of that. So before we get into that, a lot of this video will talk about you becoming a person that is capable of self-regulating so you don't become needy. I made a free course for that. It's a free video that you can access in the link below. It talks about the 3 main things that are needed to develop yourself internally that will allow you to be proper, regulate yourself better, and take actions better, which is very important for relationships. So let's get into the content itself. When a relationship is formulated, right? Relationships obviously are an exchange of needs. You know, there's physical needs, there's material needs, there's all kinds of needs, and obviously there are psychological needs. So we are, to a degree, ultimately we are social creatures. So, the question of can you be totally solo, it's like, well, yeah, you can, but ultimately as a civilization, we can't. We need each other. And in individual relationships, when 2 people meet, that is an extension of those needs on the intimate partner, right? On the partner that you're close with. You want certain needs met, the physical, the material, we're not going to talk about those, but you want certain psychological needs to be met. You want to feel loved, you want to feel respected, honored, maybe you want to be entertained, maybe you want to be calmed down. There's many of those needs, and that is fine if those needs are in the power of the other person to take care of. Because then they can do that, and that becomes a beautiful relationship where you take care of some of the needs of the other person, and the other person take care of some of the needs of your, and that's great. The issues start arising when people don't discern between needs that the other person should fulfill and the needs that they themselves should fulfill, and that's where we enter a very nasty situation, which can be described as there's many names to it and there's many expressions of it, but there's some flying around. But the typical experience of a bad relationship, of a negatively, toxically codependent relationship, is when you enter into a relationship and the person starts wanting more and more and more, right? And some things are understandable, but some things are not. They might start wanting attention from you. They might start wanting validation from you. They might start developing a general neediness. Now, I think the symptoms of that are hard to pinpoint because the person who feels that lack, they will latch out into everything. They'll talk about the food and then the mess there, and then you should do this, and you should do this, and you should do this, right? So they'll express that in many different ways. And many people don't understand this, and they start going, oh, it's because I don't clean enough. Like maybe you don't, but also it's probably just an acting out because more deeper needs are not met. And meeting those needs is definitely an important skill, but it's a bit for another video, right? This is about specifically becoming overly dependent, overly needy. So it expresses itself in many different ways. But what is happening in that person's head, and sometimes you're that person, we all been there probably, right? What is happening in that place? Well, the person engages in a relationship in a certain kind of a infantile way. They expect that the other person should take care of all of their needs, right? They feel bored, they feel insecure, they feel all of this. Well, the other person's there, they should take care of that. It is hard to pinpoint all of the many different ways in which people feel not enough, but in general, you can just describe it like this. The person doesn't feel enough. They need someone else to do something. A million different ways of expressing that, but they don't feel enough. And the worst part about it is you meet someone that you feel compatible with, right? And then they become the needy person or you become the needy person. and you start creating these problems which don't exist. And you just want to tell the other person, just chill out, everything is fine. They go, no, everything is wrong. And if they're a mature person, or if you're a mature person, you can be talked through, or you can talk through this stuff and explain to them, and obviously learn to please the needs that you can please and that are in your place to please. But that's only if they're that type of person, right? If they're not willing to do that, it usually becomes a deterioration of a relationship. Now, let's take an example of a person who is not like that. That's a person who is, there's many ways to describe it, but they're self-regulated. They're self-fulfilling. And sure, they might not be a completely autonomous individual. They might need certain things from the other people as well, but it's not overwhelming. People like that have a certain radiance around them. They feel like they give off energy. They are fun to be around with. They energize you when you are around them. These types of people tend to do very well in relationships. Now, that's all well and good, but what are they doing really? Well, they're doing something very simple. All of these psychological needs that they have, for whatever reason, maybe they were lucky born that way, or maybe they developed that, and it is possible to develop that. Trust me, I know, because I've been in both places. They develop an ability to self-soothe, to self-regulate, and to self-fulfill. It means that when a bad feeling comes up, they will probably, and probably the more advanced they are, they'll go, okay, there's something wrong with me, first of all. Or not wrong, but okay, what is this, right? I have to resolve this or think about this and all that. That'll be their first instinct. Whereas the non-regulated, the very needy person will go, bad feeling, oh, you're the closest person next to me. Hey, do something, or you're doing something wrong, right? Which becomes a bad cycle. If you want to become that type of person for your partner, right? And I would say that I think this is extremely important for men. It's important for everyone, but I think it might even be more important for men because whether we like it or not, whatever we say, like, it seems that it's nicer if a man has more of this self-fulfillment and stability about him. Because, when was the last time that a woman said that they want a highly emotional man? Yeah. Sensitive is not the same as highly emotional, independent, and needy. Although everybody doesn't like needy people, so women should definitely pay attention to this as well. You become like that by first realizing that most of your emotions, all of your emotions basically, they're happening in your head, okay? So yes, you're in a relationship and it will be great if that person takes care of you, and the good people will. But you have to take the utmost responsibility for your feelings, whatever they are, and you have to take the responsibility of regulating them. Because guess what's going to happen? If you can't regulate them, they will spill out. And soon you will start blaming this, blaming that on your partner because you want to feel better inside yourself. This codependency is a bad thing if it becomes overwhelming to the other person. Some people like to be saviors, and they engage in this. But your position should be, okay, I'll try to be as less of a burden as I can be. And I do think that's a good adult position to take. And in order to do that, you know what? I will do all this work. I will learn about my psychology. I will learn to self-regulate. I will learn to self-soothe. I will learn to self-entertain. And I will learn to self-fulfill. Okay? I will do all those things so that when I'm in a relationship, I don't put the weights that shouldn't even belong to the other person. I won't gonna put them on the other person. If you want to achieve that, right? The simple start is just going and saying, do I feel bad? Well, it's probably my fault. What can I do about this myself? I feel bad feelings? Okay, how about I learn self-regulation? How about I learn meditation? How about I learn all of those things? And by the way, if you want to start learning about those things, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, in the link below, free course. Check it out. 3 fundamental things that you need to start off from. 15 years ago, when I started learning about self-development, psychology, meditation, and all that stuff, it would have been great to have something like this, a distillation like that. And everything that you will do in self-development will be basically around one of those 3 things. Hard to point it with a pen. So check it out. And by the way, if you're serious, you can join our free Facebook group. It's a small little group that I just created. Join in there. Say, why are you doing this? What is your interest? What do you want to learn about? Because I'll help you out. I'll answer some questions, all of that, and we can all do this together. And of course, if you're that type of person that would like some individual help on learning to self-regulate, learning to introduce that into your lifestyle, I do coach people one-on-one on that as well. So thank you for watching, and until next time.